management.
Mm-hmm.
I tried applying to the department in the University of Lagos, but I was told I didn't have relevant background qualification. I shared in the CV, or when we were supposed to write a profile, the small things I've been doing in facility management, and I wanted to learn more. But I was told I needed to have surveying certificate. I said, no, in this age and time, excuse me, who does that? You can actually find yourself anywhere you want. So I don't know whether, anyway, that was one of the things that made me to start looking for alternative means of getting trained, but I felt that was too narrow a thing in this century. But I don't know whether it still exists, so that, people don't just go and apply because you said they can do masters, only to get there to hear that because you didn't do surveying, engineering, or things like that, you can't be, taken for masters.
I think because UNILAG particularly, because their masters is it's not been admitted as an academic master's, it's a professional master's, right? So what they have done is created two rules. One is that you have a degree in the built environment. You can go from estate management, survey, project management, engineering, any architecture, first degree straight into the master's in facility management professional masters. Or you can come from other disciplines, but you have worked in FM, I think they said 3 years. So you must have 3 years of experience in working in the industry to be admitted. Those are the two rules that the Senate approved for that program for admission. So usually if people come in for the program and they ask you whether you have worked in FM for 3 years, if you answer no, because you didn't quite call what you were doing FM, that would be ignorance. You understand? Because whatever you were doing was already FM.
Okay. Yeah, that's
true. So it's just knowing how to report what you were doing when you were getting the experience. It's only if you did not have up to 3 years experience at all in any field that I can say, oh yes, they will not even give you hearing. But if you've had 3 years experience in anything else, you can relate that to FM. And quite honestly, most of the things you would have done in admin, in business, in operations, can all pass for facility management for anybody who's had 3 years of experience. So that's just it's just the way you presented it that made it look like this is not FM. You don't have the experience, But if you had presented it, properly, in the right perspective, I'm sure they'd have admitted you, unless you didn't have 3 years experience as at that time.
Thank you for the insights. Of course, I have more than.
So you see. All right.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Okay, so I'm going to go straight to today's class. I'm sure you see my screen. Confirm.
Yes, sir, we can see this screen.
Okay, good. Today we're looking at facility management business case presentation skills. When we talk about change management, talk about improvement, talk about quality, talk about innovations, bring up new ideas, support our organizations as strategic enablers to the organization's success. Some FMs take it for granted that if we say this is what we are contributing or what we are going to do, it should be a no-brainer. Management should just accept, after all, we are serving them and we have their best interests at heart. That is not always the case. There are so many things that makes the kind of suggestions you bring forward show up probably with good intentions, but they come up as at variance with that of management. And when that happens, you will often not get approval. And when you don't get approval, you will feel demotivated, you feel in some cases demoralized even, and in many instances, you begin to shut down all your initiatives because you just feel the system wouldn't accept it. But the truth is, every time you have a rejection of any approval, it is not the problem with whoever rejects it. It is yours. It is mostly a problem with you. It's either the business case was not properly laid out. And when I say layout, I'm talking about analyzed with the right type of data that leads to the right type of inferences that results in the best decisions for management in the instance, right? So have the right data to do the right analysis, to reach the right conclusions, and then recommendations. If something is wrong with your analysis and data, then of course you will not get approved. And forget about all those. I feel that you don't feel, there are no emotions in management decision making. Everything is supposed to be mathematically relevant. Okay, so analysis could be the big problem. The second problem with not getting approved would be the way you present the analysis. Presentation is a big issue for many of us. Many of us have fantastic ideas, but the moment it comes out of our mouth, it sounds wrong. The moment we present it, people see us as lacking confidence. It almost looks as if that idea was not originally ours, as if we borrowed it or somebody is propping us with it, right? And so you may not get approved, even if the analysis you did well was good. Your presentation might kill it. Lack of confidence, inability to express, excitement and ginger, support, inability to express all of the details that will help answer the questions that people might have. Because that's one thing about presentations. People will have questions. They want those questions not to be asked. They don't want to ask the questions. They have the questions. They want the questions answered without the questions being asked. I hope you understand what I mean. So you want to be that person who knows those questions and has provided answers for them in your presentation before you even get the chance to make the presentation. So that's the second thing. The third thing has to do with leadership. Leadership has everything to do with your personality, how you relate with people, how people like you, how people listen to you and take ideas from you. If you don't have good leadership, especially leadership of those above you, leadership of your bosses, where they want to hear from you, where they want to take decisions after checking in with you, where they want to bounce off ideas off you and so on and so forth, then of course you might be getting resistance to however bright the ideas you might have might be. So you need to have leadership. You need to be a likable person, good relationship with everybody. Don't have anybody that has an agenda against you. Don't have an agenda against anybody. You hear of politics. Politics is a good thing. To get approvals, to move up your career, to execute all the things you have in mind, you need to be a good politician. It is not a vice, it is a virtue. It is something you must imbibe to get things done in the organization that you serve. Now, beyond all of that, you also need to have integrity. Integrity, closely ties in with credibility, right? If you say A and we go with A, have we historically come off better off? Or historically, have we had more problems or issues that, that we did not preconceive or preconsider before your so-called brilliant idea led us into a ditch? If we have that kind of bitter taste in our lips, in our mouths, we will think twice before we accept the next bright idea from you, we'll add a little pinch of salt to whatever you are bringing. You may not be getting approved. Your career will not be fulfilled. Your jobs will not be executed, and you feel stunted in your growth because we have credibility issue. Then the integrity issue. If there's an approval and some money is going to be spent with some aspect of that go right into your pocket, is there a chance that you're benefiting in other ways beyond job satisfaction and your usual salaries and progress that you make on the job with the ideas you bring? Because if there is any of such suspicion that you are benefiting in other ways that are not ethical, then no matter how smart or bright the ideas you are bringing on board is, you will often be getting flags or not approved. Abayami, your hand is up. Is it for the last one, or you have a new comment to make?
Yeah, there is a complaint that the screen is not moving, sir.
It's just about to start moving now.
Okay.
All right, thank you. So those things I just gave you are what I call my baseline outline for getting approved. I am one person that throughout my career, I always got approved. At some point, my colleagues will say, Mr. Paul will always, can get away with murder because I followed these principles. I followed them strictly. I don't express feelings. I don't express emotions. I use data and analytics to reach conclusions. When I recommend and I put together the data and the analysis, the pros, the cons, the risks, the advantages, the everything that will make the numbers look good, it is very hard to say no to such evidence. All right. And then if you can tie that to integrity, to credibility, that there's just this trust that they can entrust you with billions of naira, and you're not going to go gaga, trying to dip your hand in the tea or in the cookie jar, then you can be rest assured that you'll be getting approved. And then beyond those, you need to also be likable. You need to also be a good friend. You need to also be someone who can be confided in. You need to also be someone who can be depended on. For your bosses, if you make the life of your bosses easier and simpler, you will easily get the ears of your bosses all the time. If you are the one that when you send in a piece of work, that work has to be drilled down into, dissected and repaired before it can be presented, I can't see you as competent. I can't see you as someone I can trust, because everything you produce gives me extra work. If you're the kind of person that wants to produce and you say, I have reviewed, I now have the confidence to forward it straight to the board, for example, without even doing any further review, then you have earned my respect and my trust to that extent that I don't even need to revise, review, reread what you produce and deliver to me. These are some of the things that will get you winning in the job series. So today, we're just talking about how to build the case, the analysis that goes into it, how to get approval, the presentations, and all of that. That's what we're piecing together in today's lesson. And this is part of the workplace productivity series, the aspect of your training, where you need to be able to excel at the job. Many people think that once we finish learning about facility management, how to do maintenance, how to do plumbing and AC, then we are good. No, we are not. We're not. You can't be successful, because this program is a lifetime talent management program where we'll be available as mentors throughout your career, whether in business or in private practice. And as such, we have to teach you all of the skills that will help you excel and grow in the organization. Within a few years, you'll be the most sought after employees by your employers, or the most sought after companies by service providers, by companies or demand organizations looking for service providers. That is the whole idea. And that's why we make this training so comprehensive. So you learn FM, and usually your business case will start from, a kind of a business need. What do we need? What is the problem to be solved? What is an opportunity to be taken advantage of? What is the need? What is the need to be satisfied? And so that's what initiates that whole process of getting approval for something. We'll start talking about the executive summary. This is the section usually we write last. Establishes the need, the solution recommendation, and the summary of results from your analysis. As the analysis will include the business drivers, the costs that will go into it, the benefits for each of those line item costs, the risks, the assumptions and constraints, and strategic options, opportunity cost that goes into that consideration. It's not in every instance you need a business case. Oh, should we use a plastic tissue holder, or should we buy a chrome tissue holder? I don't need a business case for such minor decisions. When the issue is high profile, affecting the business in such a way that could be make or break, affects people in their health and safety and other consideration, creates significant opportunities for the organization, is a potential for a great loss to the organization, and so on and so forth. The profile of that those issues are quite high. Something that's going to affect the bottom line, for example, in terms of improving it or worsening it, I need to make a change, cost correction to make it otherwise better. I need to use a business case. When the risk is high, even for something that seems normal, something that we need, something that should be done, but because of the high risk, we need to do a business case, because we need to do a balancing of risk against benefits to get the approval to move on with it. When a radical solution is being proposed to solve a business problem, you probably have a problem that has been nagging for a while, and you're thinking of something drastic, a radical solution to solve it. So a business case will be demanded, because what that does is to stretch the reasoning beyond that narrow mindset of we're going to solve this problem right now with this solution. It brings about more information, the need for more information, so you can see from multiple angles and perspectives what the problem that you want to solve, or the issue you want to tackle is, because you could be solving one issue and getting into another problem, right? For another unit, another department, another aspect of your operation. That's why a business case will be required when the radical solution is being proposed to solve a business problem. When business money or resources needed may cross a certain threshold, again, when there are approval beyond certain authorization limits in the organization, you need a business case to get such approval. For some organizations, it's a very, and it depends on the scale of the projects. It could be a board decision to make. For some, it's a committee within the organization, the executive arm of the business, and in some cases, it's just the bosses, one boss at a time, over a department, taking decisions on such actions to be done by the organization within their department, right? So that's how it works. It's a case of review back and forth iteratively until the right person has seen it and the right review has been done and the approval gotten. So how to build your case? You start with, what is the issue? Is it a problem? State the problem. Dimension it into dimension scopes. For example, you can look at the problem from the standpoint of its impact on people, impact on processes, impact on assets or profits. You could dimension it in different angles, but the bottom line is you should have a problem statement sufficient to understand what the issues are and why we need to have a change. It could be an opportunity to take advantage of. We have been struggling to get business, and we got to this point where an opportunity shows up here, and we need to do something to change the way we work or create a whole new unit to tap into that. You can't just bring that up in a meeting and expect approval of the board. You will need to have a business case, developed to say, I found an opportunity. This opportunity could be potentially good for us. This is how I think we can take advantage of that opportunity. It could just be a need that needs to be satisfied, a need that you've observed in the business and you feel it's high time we fulfilled that need, because we plan to make progress or move in that trajectory or direction for a while. Those are some of the reasons why we can say, oh, there's an issue and we want to find a way to deliver, take advantage or solve the issue. So what is the current state? This is where you do an analysis of the implication of the issue on our business, right? Because of this issue, we are making slow growth, right? Our growth is so and so % compared to previously. Because of this issue, we're having a staff retention rate dwindling, staff are leaving, high attrition rates. Because of this issue, profitability is going down, and so on and so forth. So you need to be able to discuss the impacts of the issue in the current state using multiple dimensions there, like people, impact on processes, impact on technology. So if you have a case for technology adoption, I know this one is one very dicey one. Most organizations, they don't really want to spend money because, just for the fun of spending. You need to make a case that, oh, we have so many workers and we want to have technology to back our processes up. We want to automate that and that, but it's going to cost money. And as such, you need to make a proper case. What is the issue? Manual requirements management causes inaccuracy, inefficiency, and rework, right? What is the current state, impact on people, high inaccurate estimates for requirements management, BA's copy, paste requirements for reuse, leads to increased defects. Just name whatever you think is the issues that you are trying to deal with. Processes, inconsistent requirements review process across departments and project types. Traceability from business requirements to solution implementation is a manual effort and often aborted on long projects, and so on and so forth. You create scenarios that helps dimension the issue into the various aspects. Examples are people, process, and technology. So you have the issues, you have the impact of the current issues on the current state of affairs, and then you look at what the future state will be. You're trying to create a gap analysis. Until you have a gap analysis, you've not completed your problem statements, all right? So what's the future state? Increase accuracy of estimates for requirements management, reusable requirements, repository, eliminate copy and paste, processes, constant requirements review processes across departments and project types, and so on and so forth. You're trying to say the ideal situation is this. We now know what our issues and the current state is. We're not creating the future. So this future is very important because once management can relate with this future, this particular piece of work has done most of the selling for that business case to be approved with ease. And then what are your solution option recommendations? When you're bringing up solution option, solutions, come up with options so that management can look at all the pros and cons of the options. And you must be the one to draw attention to the pros of, even the ones you are going to recommend. Make sure you have been able to identify their cons, their negative side, and you can express it. and show how you can manage those negative sides. Because if you leave anything on the negative out, and management have to figure that out and identify such a risk, that might be enough, a break, enough to pull the brake on such a project. And so you need to be very careful. And some of the things that you're going to be putting forward, especially in FM, is the buy, build, lease, acquire a metered solution or as a service solution. All of these are things that you have to you have to make risk itemized for, assumptions itemized for, constraints, the cost and the benefit. You do this for every option that you are trying to consider. And then by the time you have done this balancing, you can now say, I'm recommending this because the risks are lower, or we can live with such risk compared to the other. So what is the criteria you will use to evaluate solution options? What are your recognized sources of information? So even if you're making inferences, you can't just make them off your head. For example, you say, 10% of Nigerians use mobile phones, and as such, there are 20 million mobile phones in Nigeria, and you estimate that half of them will be happy to use the app you're trying to build, and so on and so forth. Those are just, fallacies, estimates that is not backed up by benchmark data or information. So when you're putting together your options and you're trying to describe the solution you're bringing forward, use the numbers you can back up with sources, either online sources, physical and surveys you have done, or access to information from professional bodies that are made available to its members. Then build your case. What are the costs? What are the benefits? What are the risks? What are the assumptions? And what are the constraints? And you take this bit by bit and you break it down. The information can come from research, industry information, webinars, just being exposed to the industry generally, right? And then you develop impact analysis, which is there's impact analysis of our current state, there's impact analysis of our future state, then gap analysis that shows what the future state will be if all goes well, shows what the current state is right now, and establishes what the difference is. That difference could be in terms of what we would do to move from one point to another, what needs to happen around us, what needs to change in certain circles for us to arrive at where we are going to. And then feasibility study, the actions we have chosen, can we act on them? Can they be done? Research will give us more information to have enough points to outline in support of our business case. And then if you're buying a software or buying any system, you now need to advance to the point where you can now have several suppliers options available to come and do like a demo to the organization. All right, so we'll do the same thing with our future states considerations. What's working well, what's not working well in the current. The future state should have it better. And if it is not tending towards being better in the future state without doing anything, then we want to make a case for doing something about it. That's the whole idea of developing your business case, because you want to use to get approval to get something done. And then when you present a business case, it's always important to show management that you have a means of measuring success. Oh, if we just do this investment, we'll just get this, everybody will just be happy, employees' morale will just be boosted, there'll be higher productivity. Tell me, of those things I just said, how would you measure them? How will you measure them? You must already have some form of measure of the current situation, right? And whatever you use to measure the current situation is what you use to measure the future state, and use to set goals and targets. And if those future states conditions are not being met, it is those same tools you use to separate the line items that are succeeding from the ones that are not. All right. So you use the same measures on all aspects. The most important thing in all of this is you must ensure that your business case aligns with strategic business drivers. The business exists because of certain client base. The business will continue to do all it can to serve those client bases. The business has a set of mission, vision, goals, and strategic objectives as it moves towards satisfying those customer bases. Yours as an FM is to create services and provide spaces that helps the business to succeed. That strategic alignment is the highest consideration you can have when putting together a business case. For example, you cannot begin to attack your customers. You cannot begin to propose things that is going to reduce customers. Let's assume you are handling a footfall type business, a mall or a fast food eatery, and you want to reduce cleaning costs, or you want to reduce water consumption costs or energy costs, and you start proposing things that will make people reduce their coming into your spaces. That will be complete misalignment from strategic business driver. The organization wants to make more money. The organization wants to have more people in there, right? The organization spends money on ABC, and there's a cash flow, and they're always squeezed for cash. You can't create a business case for spending heavily on an asset acquisition, for example, when that money can be used for turnaround investments in the business. You must understand what is strategic business drivers for your organization and create your business case to mirror that. That's the whole idea of strategic alignment. If you don't, you will be the one seen as disturbing the organization, and you will be asked to go. And then we'll talk about measuring the results. Very important to measure the results. If you are being successful, there must be something you are tracking and trending, something you are reporting on from the whole activity that is telling you whether you are doing well or you are not. And we talk about quantitative measurements. We talk about other types of measurements like qualitative measurements. When you ask people how they feel about something on a scale of 1 to 5, they will tell you how they feel on a scale of 1 to 5. Say 4, that means they are happy or not too happy. 5 means they are excellently or super happy about it. What you have just done is taking something subjective that would be difficult to measure, and you have put it on a scale. So I can use that 4 here, 3 here, 5 there, 2 there, 5, 7, 5 rather, and keep counting. At the end of the day, I can create an average and say, overall, everybody in this organization have a satisfaction level of 3.5, which is, would I say it's high, would I say it's no? Depends on the kind of targets that we have set for ourselves in that operation. So both qualitative and quantitative measures will be helpful when determining your business case, success criteria or success measures. When it's time to present your business case, don't assume that it will make sense to everybody. Panel of 3, panel of 5, they are seated to listen to you. Don't take it for granted that they will see it as something that is good for the company and as such. So you need to know who is who in that panel before you show up, right? Identify your supporters, and then if there are people with authority within the group, leverage on those. Those are the ones you actually need to go to first, bounce ideas off them, get their buy-in before you even come and present to the general house, right? Leverage those authority, get their feedback on your proposal, ask them for information from the department that may support your findings. In fact, in some very high-profile project, you might actually need to hand over the whole business case to a very senior person to run with. Your goal in all of this is to ensure that development happens, that growth happens, that change happens, that improvement happens. You shouldn't be personal about it. It doesn't matter that it happened under your watch or something, it was your idea, and as such, you must take the glory. That is one thing that you must take your mind off. You must think more about the organization and how the organization is going to do better. That is what sells you as an individual, not the one that you were part of, right? So even if you were not able to, eventually not able to be the one to deal with it or to deliver it, you have a sense of satisfaction that you were part of those who initiated, got approval for a project. So identify the supporters, leverage those with authority, get their feedback on your proposal, ask them for information from the department that will support your findings, ask them to join you in meetings with their peers. So those who support you, you use them. Those who already are positive about the good ideas you are bringing, you don't say, oh, thank you for a good idea. No, you tap into their goodwill, their authority. So if they're in the same room where you're presenting that same thing to another manager, it is very easy for that manager to relate with, after having understood that a certain manager already fully understands and supports it. So it reduces that friction that comes from politics. Then you need to also ask yourself, who are those that will derail my efforts? There are people in management who have different agendas. Some may not just have different agendas, they don't just like you. And they are ready to sabotage any business case you bring forward. Can you know them? Or are you buried head into the sun like an ostrich, not knowing what's happening around you? Because once you're able to know them and say, or maybe because this particular business case is going to affect some sustainability measure, and this particular director or GM does not like anything that disrupts that particular measure for the organization. So you ask yourself, why would they disrupt or derail or sabotage my business case? What do they have to gain or lose? You must go from the end, right, back to the beginning. If you know exactly what they're hoping to aim for, it arms you, it prepares you to be able to offer them that. In some cases, there's no even intersection. Somebody's probably just afraid that if they approve your project, a certain project he is interested in that not presented for management may not get funding, may all just be a case of pen it for further notice. He might be fighting this your project just because he wants the overall money in the purse to still be available for the next presentation because that's his pet project. If you can understand this, you can imagine how much power you can bring into your analysis, because then you now produce another option that does not need to cost so much money or does not need to cost money at all because you found a way to transfer the risk, the financial risk, to a third party. What do they have to gain or lose if my proposal goes through? I remember a few years ago, we went to the National Assembly to defend it was a public hearing on the Facility Management Council of Nigeria bill. And we were there as facility managers from across the country. And to our shock and amazement, the estates management professional bodies trooped in with bus loads to shoot it down, right? And then the discussion got to a point where one of the senators had to stop and say, look, professional body A, you have come to stop professional body B from being in existence, from having an FM professional body in existence. What gain do you stand to have from killing this? And what do you stand to lose if we approve this? Now, this is a very powerful consideration that we mostly don't consider, because the moment you can drive deep enough to what is the underlying gain or loss for a particular individual or a particular stakeholder, then you can begin to find win-win approaches to get the buy-in of that individual. So don't ignore those who will derail your efforts. We say know thine enemy. Meet them separately, just the same way you will meet those who will support you separately to get their buy-in, do fantastic analysis, get them to see it. Do the same thing with the other ones. Get a sense of what they are thinking. Don't be surprised on that day of your presentation when they bring out their points. So you've already gone to get those points. You ask for their input, you listen to their feedback, you collaborate on ways to address their concerns. You are basically trying to solve the problem before you get to the day of the presentation so you can easily get approved. To get a business case rejected, write it poorly. Too wordy, too much data, not the right level of information for the audience, misspellings or misuse of grammar or punctuation, not formatted properly, and not in the preferred template. That is thrown out. And then when it's incomplete, missing information or no supporting data or gaps in your research, it now looks as if there's an obvious omission, right? If there seems to be an obvious omission in the minds of one person in the panel reviewing your case, be rest assured they are either going to KIV it for further consideration or reject it as quickly as possible just for their own sanity. So at the end of the day, you need to be conscious not to be drawn into such incomplete data or incomplete analysis. How can you get your business case rejected? When it is not traceable to strategic goals. You're proposing something that does not have a long-term strategic anchor, right? A strategic goal is like the direction where everybody are heading at a particular time. Those goals represent the long-term big picture objectives. Whenever you are creating any project, any activity to present towards management for approval, if there is that relationship, that direct contribution to a strategic goal, super, you will get approval. When I talk about strategic alignment, it is the most important aspect of analysis. To be able to quantifiably say, if we do this, you see that thing you guys wanted all along, we'll be closer to achieving it by this much. Then you are talking. Sometimes you'll be rejected when alternative solutions appear to be a better fit. You've done 3 options and done the pros, cons, risk of each of them, cost-benefit analysis of each of them, and you finally made your recommendation. But then somebody in the panel or everybody in the panel sees that the recommendation is not the best. They see a reason why they would rather go with another option from your analysis or another option that you missed out of your analysis. That might be a reason why your business case will be rejected. Return on investment does not outweigh the risk. Sometimes you have analyzed the risk, you analyze the cost benefits and return on investment. But on closer look, it looks as if there's some return on investment, but the risk is also high. If we're having this level of high risk, return on investment should be a lot higher. For mediocre ROI like this, we shouldn't be taking this kind of risk. Business can be turned down, your business case can be turned down. Unclear how benefits will be measured. You've written employee morale will be boosted, health and well-being will be boosted, job satisfaction will be increased. Based on what? Do you know what those measures are now? What are you using to measure them? And if you know that this will increase and you know what their current states are, you can make projection on what your project or idea can bring in the future. So that when they start implementing, if they do approve it for implementation, they know exactly what to pick out and start measuring and say, okay, fine. Make sure these metrics are reported on a weekly basis. Let's see how it will yield the results that we have projected based on which we created this approval. Lack of confidence in your presentation. Lack of confidence in your presentation can also mean lack of confidence in yourself. You're just presenting it with a very little commitment, with very little concern, with very little conviction, people who are listening or watching you will also not have that confidence. And then the committee that is reviewing or listening to you are not vested. If they're not vested, they're not interested, it's not something that they want to pursue as a pet project, or they don't feel it is time for that idea, then the rest assured is also going to go bust. So the reason you need to understand all of this is it's not for you to bring up an idea, send one email or send one memo, it doesn't get approved, and you say, well, can you not go and see all the effort I've made? No, you need to do it well. You need to analyze properly. You need to see exactly that the problem why you're not getting approved is you, and change your approach, okay? And you cannot promote without presenting, or without knowing the people that are going to approve. You must know them, present your ideas before you submit the business case, informally, ask for feedback, make them a part of the solution, address their concern, incorporate their suggestion. And I dare say, in asking for their support, hand it over if it becomes necessary. Don't try to take glory when you are still pursuing a career. Let the glory go to the bosses. At some point, you also become a boss, and you'll be able to share in the glory of those who are loyal and working under you or working with you, okay? To get approved, know the plus and minus, the positives and negatives about a solution recommendation, be able to support your case and address concerns about risk, cost, and impacts. Understand how the solution benefits the business and show alignment to business drivers and company goals. People that come in for such presentations, they often don't like surprises. They want to get an idea of what is coming. So your prior informal engagements, picking their brains, asking questions, getting to know their preferences, just basically investigating them while you're working on your business case is very important. So you can already give them a hint of what's coming and already know whether they're going to accept it or not before you shoot it out. All right, we're back. I hope my audio is good. You see my screen and it is moving.
Yes, sir.
All right,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you. So what has being able to present or being able to speak got to do with being an effective facility manager? Facility management is people management. Facility management, eventual results or outcome comes out of reports of surveys expressed by people as how well they perceive you have done. And facility managers' results are also moderated by the expectations. You don't just deliver, you first manage expectations. So you need to be able to communicate, across all levels, above, horizontally, and below. Great speakers aren't born, they are trained. Presenting is a skill developed through training and experience. So you plan a presentation, follow a certain sequence, create effective visual aids, and then you make your presentation. So we're going to look at a few of the highlights, guidelines when making presentations. And think of presentation not only as presenting to management, but also you may be facing customers, clients. You may also be facing your own staff in training and so on and so forth. You need to have some of these presentation skills, because we said earlier on that if you don't present properly, you'll be seen to be incompetent. You'll be seen to be lacking credibility. You will not be trusted in your ability to deliver. And as such, you might be getting no, not approved, and proposal rejected. Okay. So how do you organize your presentation? Topically, chronologically, problem, solution, cause and effect. To look at this one by one, so that your slides follows a sequence. That's the whole idea, right? When you are doing your presentation, use certain prompts so that you're not either not, sometimes you may think that I can memorize everything. And because I've memorized everything, I'm confident. If you mistakenly forget any part of your memorized segments or stretches of your presentation, you can lose balance. So have some keyword reminders that you can have maybe in note cards, in a small jotter, or somewhere in front of you in terms of a notebook on the podium or wherever you're speaking from. There must be conversational flow, which means you flow from one to the next. It's not supposed to be disjointed, where you go from a point to another point and there's no connection between the two. And then flexibility. You should be able to make some changes because there are so many presentations you'll be, and the audience temperament, the audience, mien, appearance, disposition can be different from what you planned for. You need to have some level of flexibility built into your presentation and be responsive to the audience. There are too many speakers who just talk straight above the heads of the audience. No matter whether the audience is paying attention, sleeping, being distracted or whatever, they just keep on as if everything is okay. And then you must build rapport. The audience members need to trust you and feel that you care about them, right? So you're not just a presenter or a teacher. You are someone who's trying to help, right? If you are seen as someone who's trying to help, there's a greater tendency to listen to you because people don't care what you know until they know that you care. So that's the first thing. Get to your venues on time. Don't go late. Find time to mingle, learn names, some of those informal chit chat that takes place. You must present a good first impression. People will listen to who they like. If they've already seen you as this arrogant, conceited individual, then by all means, they are already blocked against what you have to say. And it will still be a folly of yours if they don't listen or don't approve what you are there to sell. Introduce yourself when your presentation. When introducing yourself, give a sense of your authority, your background. People should know why they should listen to you on this topic, because of all the people in the world who can present this topic, why you? Get attention, build more rapport, introduce topic. Humor is very good when doing presentations. Something that will make people laugh once in a while. A short story, a startling statistic, some kind of numbers that helps people to think about situations, make audience think. Imagine going to talk about sustainability, for example, and giving a number of how much tons of plastic waste in the ocean, how much of that plastic, what it can do in terms of volume, for example, so large, and things like that, or something about how a certain tiny amount, let's take again sustainability. I'm trying to describe how a little drop, that drip that comes from your tap, and you ignore that plumbing repair for 1 year, how many thousands cubic meters of water you have lost because of that drip that suffers you both in the water production angle, and also suffers you you also suffer from it in the waste removal, your sewage, because of those unnecessary drainage runoff that shouldn't be happening, right? So statistics help make audience think, invite participation, and get audience response are some of the ways to open your presentation. Clearly define the topic. If it's informative, clear parameters for content within time. If persuasive, what's the problem, who cares, what's the solution, and then an overview. Because you could be informative or persuasive. Informative is when you are sharing a teaching. Persuasive is when you are trying to convince them to approve or take a decision that will move us in the direction that we feel we are both heading towards. And then when presenting the main points, make point transition, a flow, such that if you make a point, there should be a way to connect point 1 to point 2, not allowing it. Let's say there are 6 points you want to make in your message. Don't allow those points to be disjointed. Find the next natural one to the one you have done before, and let them flow together. And then provide supporting evidence, examples, feedback and questions from the audience, attention to and focus on audience, and then know whether they are listening or not. If they're not listening, make adjustments to get them to start listening. If they're not listening, there's no point for you being there in the first place. And then conclude your presentation, inform the audience that you're about to close, summarize the main points, tell them what you told them, something to remember or call to action, and then answer their questions. So what makes an effective speaker? A few points to consider. Control of information. You don't just rush everything out. Everything has to be organized so that the next word, the next point is anticipated, is looked forward to, is expected, right? The voice you use, your voice should not just be a single pitch, monotone, all through. You should use voice to show excitement, voice to show anxiety, voice to show emphasis, and so on and so forth. So you vary it. Use the right words, use your body language and hand gestures, prompt scripts and notes, the right location, within the space to address the audience, and even the right location for the audience to listen to you. Something I learned while learning to be a speaker, it says if you have to present to organizations or people and they will have to make a decision, do all you can not to present to them when they are very, very hungry. When people are very, very hungry and thinking about lunch, like just about 1 o'clock, and they're all thinking about going out for lunch, if it becomes your turn to speak at that time, almost the rest assured that you're going to get a negative result. So try to time it in such a way that they're feeling satiated by the time you're having that presentation. So don't try to push it for as long as possible, thinking that will give you enough time to put in extra preparation that morning of the presentation. The earlier, the better, because that gives you the power to talk to them with more vigor and their ability to receive you, because their brain is calm and satiated of food. And then useful and meaningful visual aids. So that's the lesson. I would like to have your questions. Let's see who's in. Shalom. Can we put on our videos? I'm missing the look, appearance of each person in this class. Is it possible for us to put on our videos? Let me not go and see you in the conference one day and blow past you. Roland, okay. Hafiz. Where's Richardson? I think I'll remember Kazim any day.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
I was the one that snapped with you in the Muzong Center, sir.
Yes. So I'm trying to make sure I can put the faces.
Thank
For me,
you,
I didn't
sir.
know you use glasses, so it looks like this is the first time I'm even seeing your face. Okay. Abayomi. Bala Joko.
It's dark, yes, sir. You won't see my face, sir.
Oh, okay. Maybe next class you bring your face on.
But you see me.
I know now. I know you now. I know you very well now.
Okay, sir.
Olumayowa. What about Bello Tokumbo? He's not here today.
Hello, sir.
Okay.
Good evening, sir.
Hello, Mayowa. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yes,
Is
sir.
that where you are? I know, I'm seeing your face now.
Losing at work. It's a bit dark here.
No wahala. No wahala. Well done.
Thank
All
you,
right.
sir.
So it's good to get to put our videos on so that we can see ourselves, so that we don't go and pass each other on the road one day. I know this class had about 3 or 4 females. I'm only seeing Bumi. Last class and this class looks like Bumi is the only lady that came into class. So you guys should connect with each other. Last week, did I announce the class governor? I was mentioning I want to announce the class governor. Did I announce the class governor? I didn't. Okay. So, Mr. Kazim, will you accept to be the class governor of this class?
Okay, that's fine, sir.
All right, thank you. What it simply means is that you will present this class in the Alumni Council, which we are going to be inaugurating later this year. Hopefully, when we do the graduation ceremony, we should be able to inaugurate the Alumni Council. Alumni is a very rich body of professionals now, comprising almost 400 members, and is growing by the day. The Alumni Council will organize industry events, will organize tours, will organize seminars and webinars, and will help to mobilize us for continuous career growth in the industry. We hope that the council will eventually lead to become a strong pressure group and advocacy group in the FM industry, because what we have built and we continue to build upon is the biggest body of FM professionals in one organization in the industry in Nigeria. So congratulations, Kazim, and class 15 of the FM Mastercraft Diploma. You're now represented in the FM Council to be inaugurated. I look forward to a lot more time and opportunity to engage with each of you individually and as a class. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Okay, my colleagues, thank you very much. Though I will always be needing your support.
You wanted to say a shake?
Yes, sir. Anytime he tells you you want to have a chat or have any meeting, please oblige him and cooperate, right? Because after your exam, during the exam period, you guys will need to cooperate to study. After the exam, you have to work together on projects. And if you assemble and say you want to have a party and you invite me, me too. I will come and enjoy with you.
For sure.
Nice.
All right, guys. Have a nice evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
God bless you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.